And then you go on to say, at paragraph 77, initially believed we were meeting at his residence, but I later learned that Tlangwani Morgan Momela owned the property. Mr. Momela is currently the subject of an investigation by the Hawks and the SIU concerning the extraction of 2.3 billion from Tembisa Hospital. Okay, at the time you say of the visit to the you were unaware that it was actually belonged to Mr. Mamela. I received numerous queries from a journalist, Jeff Wicks, concerning my relationship with Mamela. I can confirm that I do not have any relationship with Mamela.
I meet Matlala because now we're engaged on this presidential thing and all that, but talk other things. One thing that took me aback in the meeting of Zimbabwe is when I saw his protection guys, and I began to see that looks like there are faces I know here. What nearly made me fall down is when he told me that some of those guys, 23 of them, has recruited them from Special Task Force of the Army. I said to myself, what is this? He has taken 23 of the Special Task Force of the Army to guard him.
They're even recruiting some of our best, highly trained officers.
Let's see, I'm dealing with the story that scared me. Why I'm scared of this story is because I've spoken to Tanda earlier on and gave me the information that we have lost 56 members of the Special Task Force of Police to the taxi industry. 56. Now, I'm told that to train one member of the Special Task Force is 1.1 million to be all-rounder. One. We have lost 56 to the taxi industry. Maybe there where I threaten you of knowing. But I've got two issues here. That I can't have such a production to the private security. That's the first fear. The second fear is that looks like we're increasing the capabilities of the private security versus the state. Because I don't care how many you send, there will be a serious battle between 56 guys in the taxi industry with the 20 guys you send of the Special Task Force. So it is something that must be,
Yes, General?
It's something that must be corrected, Chair. Indeed, Masimula and me, we engaged the taxi guys in KZN to say, bring back our men. They say, we pay them better. We pay them better. Talk to them. I say, guys, can you go back home? They say, Minister, we love the beach. National Commission, we love the beach, but we don't eat the beach. Maybe that's one thing that we'll have to see what we do with our people that have high capabilities so that we keep them in a proper way. Maybe that's one case that as legislators we deal with. So I go back to Commissioner and I will go back and we discuss to say, Commissioner, we have a leeway here of dealing with this 56. We had 3 meetings with them. The last meeting was in HR where we were preparing to bring them back. Not all of them that came back, but a big chunk came back. The leeway was that special task guys, both army and police, they have a special allowance. The special allowance started same level, both of them at 6,000 some years ago. Soldiers have moved to quite a high, I don't know whether to say the figure where they've moved. They've moved there as a special allowance. And the police have stayed there at the bottom. So we agreed with the National Commission that move them up where they are, which is more than 20,000 from 6,000. And then agreed, and they said, Minister, with pleasure, if you're taking care of us, we'll go back home. By the time I left, so they were being processed, quite several of them, they were going back to the police. Well, I heard Minister Mkhunu said he has fixed the matters of the special forces. No, the process started when Cele was there. But it was going to start with special forces, goes with the NIU and the CATs. The CATs are not too many, and then goes to the TROT, that few that are still there. Now, with that process, SC, comes information that 23 of the army now are in the payroll of a private guy called Matlala. Anyway, I began to see them at the funeral, Honorable Malema. I began to see them at the funeral where we were together. I said, I know these voices, but in that funeral there were more guns and flowers.
Which funeral is that?
That was Mswazi. The guy called Mswazi, he was a taxi guy. So there were more guns and flowers. And I said to them, what? Everyone you were hitting.
Guns and roses.
Maybe guns, but there were more guns. So because he was a big guy in the taxi industry. Many of taxi guys, they came with helicopters in that funeral. They did not drive. Honorable Julius will remember, there were many helicopters. I asked some of them, why did you use helicopters? They say no, because he was buried in his farm. You had to drive through the bush. So it was not any other thing, was to make sure that they go there. So you could see that this private security is taking the capabilities of the state. So somebody had to do something with it. And Matlala is part of him increasing his own private capability. I don't know where that is arrested now. I don't know where those guys are that have left the special task force of the army. Remember, while they train similar, but when chips are really down, those are the guys that you bring in. And they're in the private hand.
Yeah, so General, what you described is most disturbing, isn't it? It's high level crime, sophisticated, even buying off or inducing some of our top police and army, specially trained officers, to actually employ them on their side. And obviously they're involved in what is clearly a criminal enterprise. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't have that evidence that they're involved in what is criminal.
For what purpose would they want these people to be surrounded by people that's heavily armed?
Them, they are protectors, but it's not only them here, SC, that could be blamed. The state also must take some form of responsibility. You can't train those people. I usually call them human machines and don't take care of them. I blame them for going and all that. I don't know what are they taught to do in the private arm, but the state will have to look at them. You train me highly, you keep me highly. Simple and straightforward.
So just to continue, what I think, what emerges from.
Honorable Skosana. Thank you, Chair. Just wanted clarity from the witness. The cat Matlala, you said you met him in Beverly Hills in December last year, if if I remember well.
Correct.
And then you say at the funeral, if I hear you well, hence I'm looking for a clarity from you. There were a lot of guns than flowers. And was Matlala there?
No, I didn't see him.
So the security company, you don't know what security company was there?
There were many taxi guys. These guys are split. Those taxis, they just take. I think they pay them well. But they are not taken by one taxi boss. They're taken by many. So a person that, and I'm sure you know the person that was being buried there.
Yeah, I know he is.
Yeah, I'm sure you know him very well. Sure you know him very well. I'm sure you also know a person that is at war with. Yeah, you know him too. So that is buried. So all these guys, they come because I guess everybody that is in the taxi industry knew in that particular day who was buried. I was there in the funeral. The Honorable Malema was there. Honorable Fikile Mbalule was there. And the three of us, we spoke at the funeral. We all spoke at the funeral. So it was a very high profile. I haven't checked, but I might suspect that Matlala could be there, but I don't have that information, Honorable Malema.
Thank you, Chair.
You may proceed, SC.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. So, Minister, you seem to suggest that it's understandable that some of these initially or former police officers, military officers, highly trained, at 1.2 million rand a shot that taxpayers spend on training them, that it's understandable that they cross the floor and go and work for these syndicates because they get more pay. And that, are you saying that to stop this, we should pay our officers more? Is this one of the ways in which we can stop this criminal activity? And why do you I think you also mentioned that that you went back to actually negotiate the return of some of these officers back, to integrate them back into the police force.
I would not agree with you.
A huge risk.
I would not agree with you that they work for syndicates. Especially the police task force are recruited by the taxi industry. Those are not syndicates. There might be a lot of criminality there, but to call the taxi industry syndicate, having not have that information is the problem. There is one thing I know with the taxi industry, is a lot of death and a lot of guns on it. I said I was a provincial MEC for transport. I spent a lot of time dealing with them. So I would sit with you here, SC, have a meeting, and then I say tomorrow we'll come back and finish the meeting, and your chair will be empty. Next day, your chair will be empty because you are gone forever. So